right, welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. Another exciting episode here planned with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Don West. For the audience who don't know who you are, and obviously there's a reason why I wanted to have you on, because I feel like what you do and the individuals that you supervise, we wouldn't be able to have school without you. We just wouldn't, right? And so can you tell a little bit about, yourself, your background, even how you came to Harlem, right? Your role, all that good stuff.
Sure. So like you said, Don West, Director of Transportation. I've been here going on 10 years now. But I started out, I've pretty much always been in transportation of some type. Okay. So I started out in the Air Force. I was a mechanic there.
Oh.
Then when I got out, I immediately became a school bus mechanic at North Boone. So I was there about 8 years there as well. Then moved on a couple different places, but it was always in the transportation field. Then went to Rockford for 8 years, and then came here when there was an opening. So.
All right, and I've worked with you for a number of years, and I never knew the Air Force background. So I got to ask a question about that. So any Tom Cruise moments where you worked on any of the planes that was in, Top Gun or anything like that?
I worked on everything but planes. So
man, I was
literally
excited.
Everything but planes. So literally trains, boats, cranes, bulldozers.
Okay, all right.
Everything but planes.
Gotcha. So when you're thinking of when the audience, because the only thing, and I'm at fault of this as well, you see the buses, you see them in the morning, they're picking up kids, dropping kids off in the afternoon, and you kind of think that's pretty much it, right? Pick up, drop off, pick up, drop off. Talk a little bit about the day in the life of a bus driver, what they go through, just transporting our kids and getting ready for that, and even you too in your
Sure.
office in that planning process.
So the driver's day basically starts out, they come in and then the first thing they're going to do is check out their bus, make sure there's no defects or anything wrong with it or just something totally screwy with it. So that's their first step. Then they're going to come in, check the schedule, see if they have any extra things they're doing today or what students may or may not be riding, or if they have a new student or changes to the route. Okay. Then back out to the bus and start the route. Okay. It's like I said, they really, for the most part, enjoy it because it's you're seeing the kids get on the bus. You talk to the parents, and they have a lot of interaction with parents that I don't think people realize. Mm-hmm. So they know a lot about what's going on. Yeah. And then I guess on our end, my end or the office end, we're looking at who's not going to be there today, setting up the schedule. Okay. It's kind of a jigsaw puzzle every day, just especially with the driver shortage, to make sure we've got enough people going where we need to go. So it's kind of a fun jigsaw puzzle, but a little stressful at the same time.
Gotcha. So when and I caught a little bit of the experience, last year with, shortages and things of that nature. And I got to be on the buses and helping out as a bus assistant. And I saw some of the different things that bus drivers do to build relationships with the kids, right, that are on the bus. What was some of the, come to your mind, some of the ways that bus drivers, they kind of build relationships with kids to, obviously the safety component, you have that piece, but also just the building of relationships. I happened to be on some buses where kids would be getting off the bus. They'll meet their parents and they're waving bye to the bus driver, and they had to make sure the bus driver knew that they were not only safe but appreciative of the ride and the experience. So, what are some of the ways that you have seen that bus drivers build relationships with kids?
Just having that conversation of what are you going to do today, or what are you doing tomorrow, or what do you got going this weekend? I think the kids really do. They just want to be talked to and listened to, I guess, more than anything. Maybe listen to and not talk to. Right. But so the drivers really will focus on that and talk to the kids and talk to the parents and ask them how their weekend was. So I think they really do appreciate just being listened to. Okay. So
So if a bus driver was here right now and wanted to say something to the kids like, hey, it's a tough job. Right, it's a tough job, and when you talk about expectations and things like that, wanting to keep them safe, what do you think a bus driver would say?
I think they would say, hey, we just want you to have a good time on the bus, but be safe.
Okay.
So, we can still have this good, so we can all have a good time. So it's not a bad time for anybody that's on the bus.
Right. Yeah. It's funny you said that, because one bus I was on, and I think it was the pig bus or something like that. Like every time the driver would go across the railroad track or something, the kids would be like, ah, and so it really is, honestly, in my opinion, it really is that opportunity for the building of relationships and the things that you really don't think when it comes to like transporting, and driving a bus. And so for kids out there who, may want to be a bus driver, right, and go through that process, what would it take?
What would it take to be a bus driver? First of all, you got to be 21.
Okay.
And then you have to get your CDL with a couple different endorsements on there.
Okay.
Air brakes, passengers, school bus endorsement. Then there's a background check, physical, and then state required 8-hour class.
Okay.
To learn the ins and the outs of
Right,
bus driving,
yeah.
what you can and can't do. And then now there's even federal mandated classes that you have to take, but it's kind of integrated with what we're already doing. So it's about a month or two process to get through the whole thing. By the time you fingerprints, physicals, the whole
Right.
shebang. So
Okay.
so that's what it takes.
And where do you go through like the training?
So we have driver trainers in-house.
Okay.
So once you've made it through you've gone to the DMV to get your learner's permit, just like you did when you're 16.
Okay.
We'll take you out on the bus and show you everything you need to know that way. And then take you back down to the DMV for a road test.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Have you, over your years, have you had anyone that, graduated from Harlem and you came back and said, hey, wanted to be a bus driver?
We have some there's a lot of people that actually are from Harlem.
Okay.
I think most of them have done something else and then came back
Okay.
To be a bus driver later. But we've got some that have pretty much stayed with Harlem either as a bus assistant or a bus driver, pretty much straight out of the gate.
Yeah, and that's cool to be able to create opportunities for our students and or adults who want to come back and do these things. And so a little bit we touched on it about the safety aspect of it all, right? Because there's more that goes into when the bus is on the road than just getting in, turning it on, and driving, right? And so you recently, or the transportation department recently won an award, right? Like a safety award. Can you tell the public a little bit about that?
Sure. So that award was it was from the TSA, so people that screen you getting on the planes.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So they do all kinds of transportation. So and we fall into the transportation category, obviously, of ground transportation. And they base their things more on the terrorist or domestic side of things. So our award was for upping our security around the buildings and to make sure that we were following all the guidelines that they put out. They're not mandatory guidelines, but they're guidelines. So the fact that we followed so many of them is what got us the award. Because we started out in a maybe not so great place.
Okay.
And then with everything we did, we were the first school district to get the award. So
Gotcha. All right. So I want to, mention another award, that you got called Route List, which I think was a, kind of, a trendsetter, for the area. So if you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So Route List is our tablet program that we use to check students on and off the bus.
Okay.
It was developed in-house. So our IT team put it together. It came about by some brainstorming and then just asking if it could be done.
Okay.
And they said they could do it. So it's really, it was something I thought was going to be hard to push to the drivers. And initially with some of the senior drivers, they weren't, now I have to use a tablet and there's all those things. But now they would never go without it if they if they had the choice.
Okay.
So
So describe real quick, like how does that look? Like student either gets on the bus.
Sure.
Like
so the tablet actually is pulling live data from our routing software.
Okay.
So any change we make is live. So we can add a student to your bus or take the student off the bus instantly. So the driver logs into their route. For instance, in the afternoon, a list of students comes up. As the students get on, they can check. They actually push there's pictures of the student, and then they touch their their picture, and that loads them onto their route.
Okay.
So that from then on, they know who's on the bus, who's getting off at each stop, how many at each stop. It's really a phenomenal program.
Okay.
So, like I said, it doesn't have voice directions, but it's the same thing you'd have if you printed out a piece of paper.
Wow.
With the directions. So
And totally created in-house.
totally created
that's
in-house, which is awesome. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, another wonderful thing that you all do that we don't either know about or we tend to take for granted. And so that's great.
There's a lot of technology behind transportation. We have GPS, the tablets,
Yep.
and the technology on the buses nowadays is pretty high tech as well.
I love that. I was recently, in Crystal Lake for something, and I'm still using my phone for directions, and the internet wouldn't pick up. So now I'm just driving, again, it's kind of dark, trying to find where I'm supposed to go. And so, yeah, technology is definitely great to have, especially when you're trying to travel. So I appreciate that. And so, getting a little personal here, a little bit. Who's your favorite person in the district?
Favorite person in the
Favorite
district?
person in the district.
Boy.
I've asked this to
Other than
to a
Jason
couple of
Bloom
people.
or...
Oh, man. I love it. Jason will see this.
Josh Arand is a pretty cool guy. I got to say, he's got a lot of things going on, and I think he does a good job for the district. I'm a big fan.
Okay. I thought you were going to say like your wife or someone, but Jason Bloom, Josh Arand, we'll take it. Yeah. I mean,
I should have said that. I should have said the wife. But.
I mean, she's probably going to see this.
She probably won't see this, so.
That's cool. And so, finally, this question comes up a lot, right? Especially, even though the weather is 70 degrees today, it's not going to be this warm in a few weeks, right? And when that sometimes that call comes for school closures and things of that nature, and when we talk about like buses and being able to get out, and safely transport kids, from your perspective, like how does that work, for transportation wise, where you're like, what, we just and I know it's a collaborative decision when the call school off or not, but part of it is the transportation piece, right? Not being able to transport kids safely. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So on those days, my day typically starts about 3 a.m.
Okay.
And then I personally go out and drive the roads. I try to hit the areas I know around here that are really hilly or we've had issues with in the past, being icy or something.
Okay. So when you say you personally drive, so you get in the school bus and you just...
I do a lot of it in my car or the truck, but I have literally gotten in the bus to see if we can make it that day.
Okay.
So so I really do look at it because there's so many things that if we do call school off, I don't think people realize maybe kids aren't getting breakfast or lunch that day. So it's a big decision. So I look at can my bus assistants make it out of their driveway to get to work? Okay. Can the drivers make it to work? Right. Can the bus physically do what it needs to do to get kids safely? So there is it's definitely a big decision, and I'm glad I don't have to be the only one making it. I give you my input, and we go from there and see what other people are doing as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are long days.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned Jason Bloom, and there's a communication piece with that as well, and trying to communicate that out to family.
Because you got to get the word out to everybody.
Okay.
And sometimes, no matter what you do, it's not a popular decision.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. All right. So, is there anything that you would like to say to the audience about transportation, your department, anything along those lines before we go?
Yeah, I guess I would like to say, the people we have work for us will do anything we have to do to get it done. I mean, they really do. Anytime there is a bad weather day, there's people always stepping up to, if someone's running late, they're going to do what they can to get those kids to school. So if they, they really are a good group of people, and I'm proud to be with them. And we do a lot that I don't think people realize. So
yeah, and I've seen on a number of occasions where just about your whole department's out there driving buses and making sure that kids, either get to school or from school. And so we appreciate, all that you guys do as well. And so very appreciative of that.
Thank you.
So finally, like we have every guest takes a shot at the ESPN basket here. The string is getting a little bit
extra points if it comes off the string.
Well,
I shouldn't have practiced.
You tried. So again, thank you for being on. My only request at some point, and maybe I need to go through certification, when you're out there testing the roads on those mornings, let me come in, and I want to see and experience that as well. I think that would be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it. So again, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Talk 122 with your Superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. Like always, I am Harlem, you are Harlem, we are Harlem. Thank you.